unveiling of the CADInvest 5.0 and launching the report Kaduna 2020 by His Excellency Malam Nasser Ahmad El-Rufai, the Governor of Kaduna State. Your Excellency.
Thank you. Can we share the slides, please? Your Excellency, our leader and mentor, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, Your Excellency, my colleague, the Deputy Governor of the state, captains of industry, my colleagues on the Kaduna State Government side, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome all of you once again to the 5th edition of Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit. What I will try to do is to provide an overview of the infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation strategies of Kaduna State. Next slide. In this presentation, very quickly, I will try to cover, please go back. After an introduction, I'll try to cover the CADInvest story, how we started from 2016, and how we've done since then, particularly looking at our achievements in 2019. 2020 has been annus horribilis, a year of many disasters, but also a year of many opportunities. It has given us negative impact, but also has presented certain opportunities. And I will end with where we aspire to be, our future plans, and end with a pitch to why anyone should invest in Kaduna State, because there are 36 states in Nigeria and the FCT, and we are competing with all of them. Next slide. Your Excellency, Mr. President, our cardinal agenda in Kaduna is to provide a conducive environment for the private sector to drive the economy and create jobs. We employ less than 100,000 people out of the 10 million people that live in Kaduna State. So the government must provide an enabling environment such that the private sector can invest and create the jobs for millions. So we are driven by, since we came into office, we've tried to develop policies and actions and reforms to make Kaduna the state of choice for investment decisions. In 2014, Your Excellency, we were ranked by the World Bank as the 24th state in the ease of doing business out of 36 states and the FCT. We have tried since then to put in policies to ensure that our state moves to the top of the table. And I'm happy to say that by 2018, we had become #1 by the special grace of God. Mr. President, we believe that the private sector provides the fastest way to create jobs and to be globally competitive. And with a state that has 89% of its population below the age of 35, job creation is our major challenge. This is why we came up with CADInvest, Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit. We felt it's a critical vehicle to showcase Kaduna, to show our progress on an annual basis, and attract investors. Since we started this in 2016, Your Excellency, we have attracted both domestic and foreign investments worth over $800 million. And this year alone, we've had investment announcements of over $2.1 billion, far ahead of Lagos and any other state in the country. We have been able to facilitate these investments, Your Excellency, by the creation of one-stop shop called the Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency, chaired by the Deputy Governor, with His Royal Highness, the former Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamida Sanusi, as the Vice Chairman, and our commissioners as members, to operationalize and ensure the implementation of our Ease of Doing Business Charter. We came up with steps to make Kaduna easier to do business. And KADIPA, the Investment Promotion Agency, became the main interface with the private sector to ensure investments come to Kaduna. And they have been quite successful, as you can see, Mr. President. Next slide. In the last 5 years, we have attracted 20 new businesses to Kaduna. We've attracted both local and foreign investments worth $800 million. We've facilitated investments through the creation of one-stop shop. We've developed the capacity of KADIPA now to move from attracting investments into engaging in public-private partnerships, because we find that some investors have more confidence when the government invests in a minority shareholding in their companies. In Card Invest 1, we got 25 businesses and $500 million, including the Olam feed mill and hatchery, Mr. President, which you commissioned in September 2017. In Card Invest 2, we launched, next slide please. In Card Invest 2, 2017, we launched the Kaduna State Development Plan. This was a 5-year plan of how we intend to develop our state. We launched sector investment plans for each sector, deriving from the State Development Plan. We also set an agenda for an expansionary budget to fund critical infrastructure. Mr. President, we recall that this was a year in which Nigeria was in recession, but we launched an expansionary budget similar to the economic growth and stabilization plan that the federal government launched. We also launched the Ease of Doing Business Charter, is our Kaduna Industrial Plan. So after the infrastructure plan, we developed a Kaduna industrialization plan to see how we can industrialize our state with our comparative advantage in agriculture. So we focus on agribusiness and mining as the basis for our own industrialization. We also worked with Mr. President and the federal government to try to revive our textile industry. Our infrastructure master plan and the industrial plan were aligned to achieve the sustainable development goals as part of the global commitment of Nigeria to the United Nations. We launched Kaduna into Industry 4.0 phase, focusing on developing a knowledge-driven economy while revamping our historical industries like textile. Mr. President, I will now report on 2019, which was the last year when we did Card Invest 4.0. In 2019, Mr. President, after our election, we signed an executive order creating 3 new ministries and abolished 3 existing historical ministries, while amending the mandate of 3 others. We, for the first time, created a Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs to focus single-handedly on our security challenges. We created a new Ministry of Business, Innovation and Technology to take into account the way the world is changing, to replace our Ministry of Commerce and Industry. We also modified the mandate of various ministries and converted our Ministry of Women Affairs into a Ministry of Human Services and Social Development to focus on all human beings and the vulnerable. Your Excellency, we also established 5 policy implementation councils to achieve better coordination, because ministries, departments and agencies like to operate independently as silos, sometimes in competition with one another. They don't collaborate enough. So we created 5 policy councils, and we bring all MDAs in the same area to collaborate and work together. So for instance, we have the Human Capital Development Council, which is chaired by the Deputy Governor, with the Ministries of Health, Education, Human Services and Social Development, all the related MDAs that are involved in social development, education and health attend these policy council meetings that happen every Monday. The Economic Development Council meets every Tuesday and brings all the economic ministries, departments, and agencies headed by our Senior Advisor Councillor, Mr. Jimmy Lawal. The Infrastructure Development Council meets every Wednesday between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning to coordinate activities of developing the infrastructure of Kaduna State and implementing the infrastructure master plan. The Procurement Monitoring Council, chaired by the Deputy Governor, looks at the projects above a 13 threshold. All projects above 200 million come to the Procurement Monitoring Council, and the Procurement Monitoring Council can approve those projects. So in our State Executive Council, we don't award contracts. It is the Procurement Monitoring Council that is the last bus stop. And finally, on Fridays, the Institutional Development Council looks at our institutional reforms so that we entrench them that will to outlive our administration. We look at the governance as a whole and try to look at ways to make our ministries better. This is chaired by the Secretary to the Government, assisted as Vice Chair by the Head of Civil Service of the state. And all the Institutional Council does is to ensure that all components of our government work better. In 2019 as well, after our election, Mr. President, we embarked on an accelerated, coordinated, integrated, and sustainable urban renewal project. Kaduna has given birth to all the 18 northern states and the FCT, but many of the new states have overtaken Kaduna in terms of quality infrastructure, whether it is roads, water supply, and so on. So we decided to go into partnership with CCECC of China and other domestic contractors like Mothercat, ranches, and so on, to renew our urban areas of Zaria, Kaduna, and Kafanchan. We are engaging in massive infrastructural projects, and our hope, Mr. President, is that we will invite you sometime June to July next year, by the grace of God, to come and commission all the projects in the new Kaduna and all the projects in the new Zaria and Kafanchan by the grace of God. Finally, Mr. President, one of the things we did in 2019 also is to establish two economic zones, the Green Economic Zone, GEZ, and the Green Agro-Allied Industrial Zone, where we hope many of our agricultural products will be processed. In the Green Economic Zone, we already have Olam, we already have OCP of Morocco putting up a center there, and as soon as AKK brings gas to Kaduna, they intend to put up a fertilizer plant there. Dangote and Pujo have a new partnership to put up a new Pujo assembly plant that will also manufacture trucks and SUVs and so on and so forth. In the Green Agro-Allied Economic Zone, we go back. In the Green Allied Economic Zone, we hope to have industries that will process agricultural products. Next slide. Your Excellency, these are the new ministries we created: Human Services and Social Development, which includes Women Affairs and Social Development and Arts, Culture. And the Ministry of Public Works and Infrastructure includes works and transport, as well as water resources. The Ministry of Sports Development is a dedicated ministry to develop our sports potential. Mr. President, Kaduna has contributed more football stars in the European leagues than any state in Nigeria, any city. From Rashidi Ekini, Daniel Amokachi, Tijani Babangida, Garba Lawal, all these were Kaduna boys, the Babayaro brothers. And we believe, Mr. President, if we invest in sports and we develop sports, it can be a big money spinner for the state and for the country. Sports can potentially earn more foreign exchange than oil if we work on it, and we think Kaduna can be the center. This is why we created a dedicated Ministry of Sports and put one of our most experienced commissioners, Professor Kabir Mato, to head it. We also converted our Ministry of Commerce and Industry to a Ministry of Business, Innovation and Technology. We created a new Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, standalone, so that we can build more social housing, because we've realized that most of the houses being built by the private sector are targeting the middle income and the rich. The low income to the middle income are left out, and we feel the government has to intervene and create a mortgage system that will enable people buy homes and pay over 25 years, 15 to 25 years. I'm very pleased to announce, Mr. President, we have a partnership with Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Corporation, Federal Mortgage Bank, Federal Mortgage Finance, as well as Sterling Bank, to create a 5 billion naira mortgage fund that residents of Kaduna can borrow, buy a house, and pay over 10 to 25 years, depending on convenience. And then our Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs to focus on security. Our 5 policy councils I've already described. They were created to drive synergy and develop a shared government, a whole of government approach around executing policies. Human Development Council focus on building human capital in health, education, nutrition, and skills. Procurement Monitoring Council ensures that contracts are awarded at the best prices and as efficiently as possible. They also take away the distraction of Executive Council focusing on awarding contracts. Infrastructure Development Council addresses our infrastructural deficit in Kaduna and 23 local government areas. Institutional Development Council is to strengthen the capacity of the public service. It is the work of the Institutional Development Council, Mr. President, that led us to legislate a public service law. I think we are the only state in Nigeria with a public service law that shows the roles and rules and everything to do with the public service. Rather than operating the public service on the basis of public service rules, we have a law in passed by the State House of Assembly, along with sanctions and offenses for violating the law. Finally, the Economic Development Council focuses on growing our economic base, attracting investments, boosting revenues, and job creation. These are some of our urban renewal projects, Mr. President. They have many components. They consist of road expansion and maintenance, transportation. We are working with the French Development Agency to do a BRT system. We are working with the Indian Exim Bank to develop a light rail system that will start from one end of Kaduna, from Mararaban Jos, up to the refinery. We have also computerized our land register, so we have improved land use. We have put solar street lights all across Kaduna. Kaduna used to be a dark city, not anymore. We also have solar traffic lights, and we have started street naming and house numbering so that addressing will be easier and locating people will be easier. Markets, new markets are being constructed, neighborhood centers are being created, shopping malls are being built. Murtala Square, Mr. President, we are rebuilding it, making it a place of sports, entertainment, and shopping. By the time you come back to Murtala Square, Your Excellency, you will not recognize it, but it will be a very, very nice place by the grace of God. We are also building parks and recreational centers so that people will have places for relaxation. Our objective, Your Excellency, is to make Kaduna a place, the best destination for people that want to walk, live, and play. And with the train link to Abuja and the assurance by the Minister of Transport that the train will be operating every hour, we see Kaduna as a suburb of Abuja. People can live in Kaduna at 1/3 of the cost of living in Abuja and walk in Abuja every day and take the train and come back. So we are massively building houses to take advantage of that. We've also established economic zones, as I explained. The green economic zone is along the Kaduna-Zaria Highway. The agro-allied industrial zone is along the Kaduna-Abuja Highway. These are green, Your Excellency, because they will all be solar-powered. None of them will use any fossil fuels. So we are building for the 21st century. Oil is on its way out, and we believe that this is the time to start building the industries of the future. So these estates will be wholly solar-powered, studying what more we can do by way of grants to our businesses to help them come out of the losses they have incurred due to COVID-19. COVID-19 has a major impact. We have spent 1.4 billion as contribution to the COVID response. COVID activities and programs have so far, go back. What's happening? I don't have that. Okay. We revised our budget, we reduced our budget size by about 14%. Statutory allocations we predicted will go down by 37%. IGR we thought will go down by 32%. But I'm happy to report, Mr. President, as at June 30th, we have been able to raise as much as we did in June 2019. So far, it looks like our IGR is not going down. But we have to go to the end of the year to know. We reduced recurrent expenditure by 3%. VAT we expect will come down by 18%, and we reduced capital expenditure by 1.3%. That's the revised budget that was passed by our State House of Assembly. Next slide. So our priorities remain the same, Mr. President. Agriculture is our mainstay. Kaduna is the leading producer of maize. We produce 22% of Nigeria's maize, ginger, tomatoes, and soybeans. We are number 2 in sorghum and many other commodities. So agriculture is our mainstay, and agribusiness is our future. We are also investing strongly in education because we believe a healthy, educated populace is the future. We are investing in power supply, Mr. President. Kaduna State is building an 84-megawatt gas-fired power station next to the federal government-owned Kudenda Power Station. 84 megawatts plus 215 megawatts will give us about 300 megawatts, which is enough to power all the industries in Kaduna. We are investing in housing and urban development. We are building houses around Rigasa and many parts of Kaduna that will sell to citizens and with a mortgage bundle. We are aggressive about social development. We are addressing the Almajiri problem. We are addressing the issue of rape and gender-based violence. We are building roads all over, Mr. President, and we are expanding our water resources capability. And here, I want to appreciate the Federal Minister of Water Resources for his support. I also want to thank Mr. President for authorizing that Dangote Industries can build 3 roads in Kaduna and get that from the tax credit arising from the executive order you've signed. The work is yet to start. Mr. President, we urge that you get the ministers to authorize the beginning of this work. We've attracted, as I said, both domestic and foreign investments worth about $800 million. This is all there. Damao Milk Farm. Mr. President, this is one of our flagship projects. Damao is a grazing reserve that we are converting into a ranch and housing and schools and vet clinics, and we are resettling. We hope to resettle about 10,000 Fulani families. We are starting with 1,000. The whole project will cost 15 billion naira. The Central Bank of Nigeria graciously agreed to lend us 10 billion. Kaduna State Government and ALA of Denmark are putting up 5 billion naira to do this. We believe, Mr. President, if this succeeds, we have taken the first step in showing the nomadic Fulani that they can sedentarize and still make a lot of money. In Damao, we will have pasture, we will have vet clinics, we will have schools, hospitals, and housing, low-cost housing for the pastoralists to settle down and engage in livestock production. We are also bringing crossbreeds of cattle that will raise milk production from an average of 2 liters a day to 20 liters a day, thereby multiplying the income of the pastoralists 10 times. TMDK Agro-Industrial Park is building fertilizer and many other things. These are $25 million investments. There's a pharmaceutical company coming up. We have Sunseed feed mill in Zaria, Kaduna ICT hub, which was built by Zenith Bank, and we equipped it. Tomato Jos is doing a farm as well as tomato processing plant. Africa Industries Group, Africa Steel, Your Excellency, is building a $600 million iron ore processing and steel construction plant. We hope, Mr. President, to invite you before the end of 2021 to commission this plant, which will produce made in Nigeria steel for the first time in Nigeria's history. What we've not been able to do with Ajaokuta in 60 years, Mr. President, you will achieve in Kaduna with a $600 million private investment. We're investing $100 million in affordable housing. Mahindra has built a tractor plant, about $3 billion, and Matrix Tractors is also coming to build a second tractor plant here in Kaduna. Neighborhood centers, shopping malls are all being built. Olam Hatchery, which you commissioned, and Blue Camel and Energy, Mr. President, is an indigenous company that is assembling solar power lights, solar grids here in Kaduna, and training many of our young people. Stanbic IBTC has collaborated with us to build an incubation hub where we take young businesses and guide them to create new businesses. We are also talking to 2 aviation companies to start an Abuja-Kaduna shuttle. Every hour you will head to Abuja and Kaduna. It will be 20-30 minutes to get to Abuja and Kaduna, so that it will supplement the train system and many others. These are just some of the highlights that we like to make, Mr. President. We've also developed a public-private partnerships policy and manual, because apart from the investments, we now want to start putting Kaduna State's money into some of these investments. We will get dividends in the future. Sometimes we contribute land, sometimes we put a little money, but we are minority shareholders because we don't want dominant government ownership to destroy businesses. But we realize that some businesses like to see the government there as a partner to hold their hand. So we've developed this manual. It's the first, I think we're the only state with the PPP manual that has the support of the World Bank. And we hope that we'll use it to do more road expansion, expand the electricity grid, as well as farming and mining and rural electrification. Next slide. We also have a digital strategy, Mr. President. Kaduna State has been far ahead of most other states in respect of digitization of government. We have digitized several government service setups for ease of access. Most of our investors now apply online. Most of our taxes are paid online. You can apply for land, Kaduna Geographic Information Service, virtually. So by the time the COVID-19 came and we have to operate virtually, it was very easy for us in Kaduna State. All these areas that interface with businesses, CAD IRS for taxes, Kasubda for planning approvals, KEPA for environmental approvals, are all digitized, and they all share the same platform. Even registering your business with Business Innovation and Technology is now online. So today, Your Excellency, we are unveiling CAD Invest 5.0, which focuses on infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation. We think these 3 are connected. When we provide infrastructure, industrialization is easier. With industrialization, you attract people of various skills, and that's how you can drive innovation. So this next slide is just to welcome everyone. Welcome you, Mr. President. Welcome everyone to CAD Invest 5.0, because in this summit we are looking at innovative ways of triggering growth and finding lasting solutions to both economic, environmental challenges. COVID-19 has brought many problems, but it has also brought opportunities. Opportunities in developing digital businesses, e-commerce, e-government, as well as developing logistics businesses, because most people will prefer to stay at home and get their groceries delivered instead of going to the market and get exposed to COVID-19. So there are many opportunities. Courier companies, we're all encouraging this kind of businesses here in Kaduna so that we create more job opportunities for our people. This is why the theme of CAD Invest is focused on the 3 I's: innovation, infrastructure, and industrialization. So where do we want to be? Mr. President, we have 2.5 to 3 years to go, and we have this opportunity which we started when you flagged off my campaign, Mr. President. Our slogan was "Make Kaduna Great Again." Sadly, Donald Trump stole this from us. We cannot sue him because he has immunity, but we started this in 2014, Mr. President. And what do you mean by "Make Kaduna Great Again"? I will read what was in our manifesto, Mr. President, which you approved. We want Kaduna to be a state where there are abundant economic opportunities and prosperity, social inclusion, peace and security, good governance, and improved quality of citizenry, quality of lives of the citizenry. This is our goal. This is the future Kaduna we want. We want a Kaduna that is home to every Nigerian. We want to overtake Lagos in terms of being cosmopolitan. We want every Nigerian to feel at home in Kaduna. And what is our vision of the future? Right now, we expect that our population will increase by 3.7 million in the next 15 years and 7.6 million by 2050. 40% of the population is under the age of 15 right now. We have increasing male population, and this is why this government is focused on ensuring that whatever we do, we have not 35% female, but if possible 50-50, because they are half of the population. Kaduna has a population in search of jobs, infrastructure, and industry, and we have to work on that. The map shows the demography. We are the 3rd largest state in Nigeria in terms of population, and of course, we give President Buhari his 3rd large number of votes since he started contesting in 2003, and we are very proud of that. We have many infrastructure investment opportunities, Mr. President, because we have, given our population dynamics and infrastructure deficits, we have to invest in infrastructure to meet the needs of our citizens and our businesses, and we are doing that. Kaduna has opportunities to absorb as much as 20 trillion to fund state infrastructure over the period to 2018 to 2050. We have started work on that, and we're inviting the private sector to join us. We are in the process of developing the new state development plan 2021 to 2025, which aims to consolidate on our achievements. We're also developing new sector implementation plans 2022 to 2024 to serve as mechanism to link the plans to the annual budget. We have a Sustainable Development Goals Acceleration Plan to fast-track our attainment of SDGs by 2030 by the grace of God. These are all linked to all our policy documents and part of the targets of our policy councils. So what are our future plans? Next slide. In agriculture, we want to increase share of agricultural sector to 40% of overall GDP and achieve a 20% contribution of agro-allied output to GDP. In electrical and electronics, we want to attract electrical and electronics industries in Kaduna and achieve a 10% share of that sector in our GDP. We want Kaduna to regain its position of being a motor vehicle assembly hub. We already have PAN, Pujo Automobile. We have 2 tractor assembly plants already, with a 3rd one on the way. And with Dangote Pujo coming with a big partnership, including a Chinese company that will assemble a whole, from trucks to the smallest vehicle and SUVs, we think Kaduna can reclaim its position as the automotive hub of Nigeria. Then textiles. We are working with Mr. President, the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Industry and Trade and Investment to revive our brownfield textile industries and improve support services provided to our cotton farmers. We are working with a group in China that is willing to come in here because Chinese wages are rising, so they want to relocate their factory to Nigeria. We were to visit China in March, but because of COVID-19, that has been slowed down. But so these are the 4 areas, among others, that we want to focus in. And then ICT, of course, which is the future. And we want to inject ICT in everything, from agriculture to manufacturing to education. We want to increase penetration of electricity all across our state, particularly renewables. We are putting solar power in all our primary health centers. All our schools will have solar grids so that they don't need to rely on the public grid, and we save money. And we want to increase the capacity of the grid in Kaduna to at least 400 megawatts. Mining and quarrying, we've already obtained licenses. We have Kaduna Mining Development Company that is partnering with international mining investors to develop our licenses in gold, tantalite, iron ore, and nickel. We've got incredible cooperation from the Minister of Solid Minerals, and we're very grateful for that. Then transport. We are expanding our road network. We are providing interstate and intrastate transportation schemes from BRT to light rail with the support of the federal government and the Exim Bank of India. So we hope, Your Excellency, with all this, we will create between 2 million and 7 million jobs by the year 2050. We will boost our GDP by 50%. We will substitute many imports because many of the things that are imported now will be produced in Kaduna for the rest of Nigeria. We'll also create wealth. We will raise household income to 102 billion by 2023 by the grace of God. Our stable investment climate will enable us to have a 34% increase in business registration, and we hope to give many of our youth jobs exploiting the relatively cheap labor compared to what is going on in China and many other countries. All these measures have got the private sector very interested in Kaduna. But at the end of the day, Mr. President, why should anyone invest in Kaduna? Now, we think the first reason is that we are the most improved state in ease of doing business. We are number 1 in the ease of doing business overall in Nigeria. We are also number 1 in property registration. If you purchase property or you apply for property, you are likely to get it faster in Kaduna than any state in Nigeria. We've overtaken all the other states, including Aegis in Abuja, which I established, which unfortunately is no longer number 1, but Kaduna is number 1. We are ranked also first in enforcing contracts. Our courts are very, very good at resolving commercial disputes, and they are very fast and they are very honest about it. We are number 5 in ease of registering businesses now, but our target is that by 2022, Your Excellency will be number 1. We are number 6. We have this, we have the 4th largest landmass. That is not correct. It's not 6. We have the 4th largest landmass in Nigeria, of which only 1/3 is under cultivation. So we have a large amount of land that is arable that we can give out. And we are endowed with a very large youth population. 89% of our population is below the age of 35. So we welcome you to Card Invest, and we welcome all of you to join us to make Kaduna great again. And Mr. President, we promise you, by the time you are done, you will come back to your hometown of Kaduna, and you will find it a very nice place to retire. Thank you, Your Excellencies, and God bless.
Thank you.